Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I thank Mr. Shah for inviting me. It's been a long association with him, and it's always a good opportunity and to interact with you all, not doctors, and hope I can give you correct information about swine flu, which will help you to dispel all the panic that the media has created about the epidemic. Now, before I start, I would like your input of what you think is swine flu, so that I can, take the talk accordingly. So, anyone from the audience who can give me a little feedback what they think is swine flu. You mean to say it comes from swine?
It originated from blood and it is identified among the swine.
Okay.
Freedom.
And what is your concept about swine flu, that it's dangerous? If anyone gets it, it's going to be dangerous.
If it is not, prevention is not taken, it might be dangerous.
So if you don't treat it, it will be dangerous. Okay, so that's what I'm going to deal about, and hope to dispel a lot of misconceptions. Now, swine flu is basically a type of an influenza virus. Influenza virus are type A, type B, type C, various types. Swine flu belongs to type A influenza virus. Now, influenza is known to cause commonly flu. So, all your flu-like symptoms are basically caused by influenza. You have human influenza, you have avian influenza. Avian is the influenza in birds. You have swine influenza, which occurs in pigs. Now, this infection is actually known as H1N1. It's misknown as swine flu because initially they thought that it came from pigs. But the genetic material is such that it resembles the pig influenza, but it's got genetic material from pig influenza, avian influenza, and human influenza. So it's a different virus. It's not come from the pig. It's a mutated virus, influenza mutated virus, and it is now present in humans. So it's known as H1N1. Swine flu is just because it's easier for us to say swine flu that we recognize it. The regular seasonal influenza that we see is known as H5N1. So this becomes very technical term. So we label it as swine flu, but it does not come from pigs. So you're not going to get, if you go to a pig farm, you're not going to get swine flu, because usually God is kind. Whatever infection He's given in animals remains in animals. Whatever infection is given for humans remains in the humans. So the cross transmission does not take place. Now the first outbreak that occurred was in Mexico. So this influenza virus, the regular influenza virus, mutated and it caused an outbreak. Now why it caused an outbreak? Because most of us have immunity to influenza. But every time the virus mutates, we are not immune. We are again going to get the infection. So when that virus mutated, everybody in the community was vulnerable and they got the infection. So it started in Mexico, and this virus spreads from sneezing, coughing. So it spreads very fast. It's from the air, so it spreads very fast. So it's from Mexico, it went to America. From America, through the air travel, people traveling by airplane, it spread to various countries, and then it came to India in May. In May it came, but it got restricted because one is because of our climate. All these countries which got influenza, swine flu, were basically temperate regions, the colder regions, whereas our country is more of a tropical region. So it actually came in the summer, but it started transmitting in the rains when the temperature really cooled down. So that was the time when we had an outbreak, starting with Pune, then Bombay, and then spreading all over across the country. So this is the same point that I am highlighting, that you don't think that this virus has come from pigs. It's a mutated virus, but it resembles the genetic material of the pig virus. That's why it's known as swine flu. Now, what does the swine flu cause? It causes same flu-like symptoms. Every one of us have had flu sometime or the other. So we get fever, we get body ache, a lot of muscle pain, we get sore throat, cough, running. So same signs and symptoms. So we wouldn't really come to know, is this swine flu, is this seasonal flu, or is it just a regular monsoon-related illness that we are getting? So one thing is, if I get fever, don't panic. I'm still seeing malaria more common than I'm seeing flu. I'm still seeing diarrhea more common than I'm seeing flu. So we may be seeing more of diarrhea, hepatitis, typhoid than we may be actually seeing swine flu. So if you get flu-like symptoms, don't worry. It may just be a normal infection, it may not be swine flu. So how will you differentiate? If this is swine flu or this is seasonal flu, how do you know? I got fever, how do I know what I'm suffering from? It's very difficult to make out unless you do a test. That means I go to Kasturba Hospital, I submit they take a throat swab. So they put a tube, a swab with a cotton at the end. They put it into my mouth. They take a smear from the throat and they send it for testing. So either I go to Kasturba and get myself tested. That's the only way I will come to know whether I have swine flu or it's a normal infection. So that comes to the thing that should I get tested? That means, is it dangerous that I should get myself tested? Now swine flu is not really dangerous. It causes mild flu-like symptoms and most of the patients recover on their own. They don't even require treatment. I just give them anti-fever medicine, some medicine for pain, some medicine for stuffy nose, that's it. And they will be fine. So most of the patients don't require treatment. It's only the high-risk group. There are some groups in which this infection can be dangerous. Now, which are these high-risk groups? Children less than 5 years. They are known to develop some severe infection. Elderly population, people who are more than 65, they can develop severe infection. Pregnant women, so if pregnant women get fever, runny nose, cold, then they should get themselves tested. People who have chronic diseases, like say people who have diabetes, or who have blood pressure problem, or who have a heart problem, who have a lung problem, who have a liver problem, they are the ones, if they get fever, they should get themselves tested. Not everyone, not you and I. Okay? People who have poor immunity, like say people who have HIV, AIDS, TB, those are the patients who have a poor immunity, then they need to get themselves tested. And people who stay in an area which is overcrowded in the sense that they are staying in, like say, old age homes. So old age homes, a lot of people staying in one room together. That is the time when or people staying in nursing homes, or hospices. These are the people who should be tested. So in these population, it is slightly dangerous, not normal individuals. Otherwise, by now we should have had swine flu hospital, not wards. Okay? So these are the patients who are at high risk. So we should not be worried if we get swine flu. Now, how contagious is this? If suppose somebody today gets swine flu, how long is he going to infect others? The duration of illness is usually, any flu is going to be 4 to 5 days. So infection is usually, if I get fever today, maybe I was infected from yesterday, till the day my fever subsides, 1 day after that, that is my infection period. So that is the time I can transmit the virus. So it is said that anyone who has fever should stay at home. So you prevent transmission to the others. And you should stay at home for at least 24 hours after your fever has subsided or all your symptoms is gone. Or minimum 7 days. The other recommendation is that you can stay for 7 days at home. So you all have one benefit of taking leave. And Mr. Shah cannot do anything if you go on leave saying that you had fever. Because even the government says that no medical certificate is required if you have fever. You can stay at home for 7 days. So he's going to kill me for this thing. Now, how does it spread, swine flu? It spreads through sneezing and coughing. It's through the air. So it's by sneezing and coughing. So anyone who's got little cough, cold should keep a handkerchief or wear a mask and make sure that they don't transmit it to others. And how do we test for swine flu? As I told you, they put a swab through a stick and a cotton at the end. They put a swab into the mouth and they take a smear from there and they send it for testing. Now these are the various labs that are doing testing. Now the problem here is that we have a population of 1 billion and we don't have facilities for all of them. And government currently has restricted testing to government laboratories. They are not allowing private laboratories to do the test. And each government laboratory has a certain infrastructure that they can handle per day. The reason why government is doing this is also not wrong, because if a lot of labs started testing, we would have a lot of false positive reports. If quality control is not maintained, whoever got not swine flu will also be detected as swine flu. So those are the problems. So these are the labs, government recommended labs where the sample should go. So if somebody tells you today that I know a center who does swine flu testing. That's not available. Okay? So don't think that swine flu testing can be done any lab. What is done in most of the labs and private labs is they test whether you have influenza A or you have B. If you have B, that means you can't have swine flu. If you have A, then it could be swine flu, it could be another influenza. So one way of looking at it is, if you want a report, you can find out whether you are A or B. If you are B, you don't need to worry. If it is A, then you can go to Kasturba for testing, or any of these Bhagwati hospital or wherever they have recommended, you can go there for testing. So that is one way in a private lab you will be able to know is whether this is A or B. So does that mean that I have fever, I should get tested? Ideally, if I was in America, yes, I would have got tested. In India, not possible. I cannot do tests for every patient with fever. So I will test only the ones who are in the high risk population. The ones that I told you, children less than 5, elderly population more than 65, the ones who are in old age homes, or the ones who have chronic diseases like diabetes, hypertension. These are the ones who, if they get fever, should get tested. Not everyone else. Other people who should get tested are the ones who develop little breathlessness. If I feel breathless with fever, that's the time even a normal population, any person in the community should go for testing. Okay? This is where the problem is occurring, is that most of the people who have died, your question I can read in everyone's mind, if you are saying it's only high risk population in which it is severe, then what about all the people who have died? They were not some of them were not in the high risk population. The reason is that they did not go as soon as they developed breathless. They waited for 48 to 72 hours. And then by that time they had already deteriorated very rapidly. So their samples were sent when they were already in the ICU. Okay, so that was the time lag that occurred. If I get slightly breathless with fever, that's the time I should immediately go for testing. So that is not one time that you should not wait. What is the treatment? Same as any flu, bed rest. Take a lot of water to drink. You can take a cough syrup, whichever your doctor recommends you, and you have to take anti-fever medicine. So that's the standard treatment for any flu. Same is for swine flu. Then you will ask me, what is Tamiflu? You must have read in the papers about Tamiflu, and swine flu needs to be treated with Tamiflu, otherwise it's not going to work. Now see, these are antiviral drugs. Influenza is a virus. Antibiotics are for bacteria. This is for a virus. So you have antiviral drugs. They will decrease the symptoms. So suppose I'm getting a lot of body ache, it may become little less. They may decrease the duration, and Tamiflu has found that if I'm going to suffer illness for say 5 days, it may come down to 4 days. So it will decrease the duration of the illness, it will decrease the symptoms. It is very important in the ones who have severe disease. So the ones who are breathless, and if they take Tamiflu, it can prevent that severity from worsening. So that's why Tamiflu is so important in patients who have severe illness. Not just body ache, fever, headache, not those patients. And these are the drugs. Now Tamiflu is also known as oseltamivir in medical terms. Tamiflu is a brand. Roche company is building Tamiflu. And zanamivir. Zanamivir till yesterday was not available. Now few companies have started preparing this drug in the Indian market. It's given through a pump. So you breathe the drug. You don't take the drug. You breathe the drug. Now this is going to be available through a chemist. And this is going to cause problems, because if people are going to take this drug just like it, then the virus is going to get resistant. And most of us don't require this drug. It's only the patients who have severe disease. That is the one who should receive. So who should receive Tamiflu? Most of the patients don't require Tamiflu. If I'm just having fever, body ache, and I'm sitting at home, I don't require Tamiflu. It's only if I'm confirmed that this is swine flu, then they get Tamiflu, not only for the patient, so that other people also do not get. And all hospitalized patients. That means every patient who is in the hospital with flu-like symptoms. That means he is having a severe disease, he is breathless, he is having distress. These are the patients who require Tamiflu, not everyone. I still remember when Pune, the outbreak came up, we had some 10-15 children who came down from Panchkili for testing for swine flu, and all these children had no symptoms at all. Nothing. They had not even fever, but because it was 20 kilometers from their school, the outbreak, so they all came down for testing to Mumbai. And that's when the panic started. Oh, that we all need to get tested because we are staying in that area. It's not required. Even if you have flu-like symptoms, if it's mild, it's not required. Okay, and not all of you all require Tamiflu. Suppose I don't have an infection. Should I take Tamiflu? I'm in touch with a person who has swine flu, but I don't have anything. Should I take Tamiflu? So only if that person is staying with me. Suppose there is a family and the daughter has got swine flu, then the mother will have to take Tamiflu. But the daughter's school friends do not need to take Tamiflu. Immediate family members, the ones who are staying with them in the close surroundings, they are the ones who need to take Tamiflu for prevention, even if they don't have symptoms. Or say a doctor who is seeing a lot of people in the OPD, he comes in contact with a patient who is having swine flu, then he will have to take Tamiflu, not otherwise. So this, why is it not necessary, that why Tamiflu should not be given to everyone is because it's not 100% curative. Okay, not everybody is going to respond to Tamiflu. Secondly, a lot of side effects are being reported now with Tamiflu, especially in children. And there is a confusion now. Some people would give it in children, some people in UK they have stopped using Tamiflu in children less than 12 years. Whereas other countries are still using Tamiflu in children. So there is a confusion because of the side effects. So till it's not necessary, don't worry about Tamiflu. You may not need it. Now what are the warning signs? Which are the signs that tell me that this is severe infection? Remember fast breathing. If I'm having difficulty in breathing, if my nails start turning blue, that means I'm not getting oxygen. That's the time. If the child is having very severe or persistent vomiting, or you keep on vomiting, you're not able to take anything. You're very drowsy, you're sleeping all the time, not waking up. Very irritable, and flu-like symptoms have improved, but again they've come back. So after improvement also, they came back. Those are the times that you will need to get yourself tested for swine flu and take treatment. So these are the warning signs. Remember, blue nails and difficulty in breathing. You won't remember everything. So if you get difficulty in breathing or you get blue nails, that's the time you have to go to the hospital, get yourself tested and procure Tamiflu from the government. So now suppose you have flu-like symptoms, what should you do? You have to stay at home, even if your office tells you to come. And you have to stay for at least 7 days, or till the fever subsides, and 1 day more than that. Okay, so maybe if the share bazaar is down and the office is light, you can do that and stay at home. And how do you stay at home? Staying at home does not mean you call your friends over and you watch a movie or you have a party. That's not going to be staying home. Staying home means that nobody comes over, and you restrict yourself to one room so that other people who are in the house can be in the other room. So you restrict yourself to one room with an attached bathroom. So you're limiting yourself to a very small area. You're not moving much. Whenever you're sneezing or coughing, you have to cover your mouth with a handkerchief, mouth and the nose. You can, ideally if you can, you should wear a mask, the face mask, till you are coughing, sneezing, having fever. Every time you cough, sneeze, you have to wash your hands with soap and water or a disinfectant. Nowadays you get these alcohol-based solution, which is 99% germ-free. So you just use those, and that is what you're going to do. So even though it's a holiday, it's not a party time. Suppose you get flu-like symptoms, what should your immediate family members do? If they come in contact with you, they should clean their hands with disinfectants or alcohol base every time there is an interaction with you, and they should wear a mask because you're going to be coughing, sneezing, so they should wear a mask or a handkerchief. This slide I'm going to skip because this is for the doctors, it's not meant for the lay people. Who should wear a face mask? Now I see on the roads people wearing face masks and running around on the road, and I see lots of patients coming to the hospital wearing a face mask. Even if you go to the airport, you see all of them in various kinds, yellow color and white color and green color. So I think we'll have designer masks coming out very soon. So So there are people making money out of this. I think the surgical mask company is really having a great turnover with this. So maybe you should start buying shares of those companies. So who should wear a mask? You and I don't need to wear a mask. Even if we go to malls, even if we go to theaters, even if we go to hotels, we don't need to wear a mask. It's people who are at high risk. Again, the same age group. Less than 5 years, more than 65 years, people with diabetes, hypertension. These are the ones who need to wear a mask. In which situation? If I'm going to a crowded area, if I'm going to a mall, or if I'm going to, say, go to a marketplace, then these are the people who need to wear a mask. If, again, those high-risk people are going to come in contact with a person who's going to have swine flu. So if there is a grandmother in the house and the granddaughter has got swine flu, then the grandmother needs to wear a mask. Then there are some people who work in laboratories who are doing the test of swine flu, or there are some people like the ambulance drivers or nursing staff who are on the field, not in the office or not in the hospital. They are the ones who need to wear a mask, or say BMC workers when they're cleaning the streets. So they are the ones who need to wear a mask. But they are the only ones who are again in the high risk population, okay, not regularly. So a 25-year-old BMC worker need not wear a mask, but a 65-year-old will have to wear a mask. When will a 25-year-old need to wear? If he is a doctor sitting in the OPD and he's checking 100 patients a day, okay, he needs to wear a mask. So not otherwise. So I hope you all don't have masks. I had the most hilarious scene that I saw with a mask was outside my hospital. Unfortunately, the BMC has allowed all these roadside stalls. So you have the dosa wala and you have the vada pav wala and everyone, and you see them wearing a mask and making those dosas, and then the same plate goes into one bucket and the plate goes into another bucket and out it comes again. And then the same plate is served to another person, still wearing a mask. So that's the most hilarious scene that I could see, and I really wished I had the camera then. I would have videotaped it and shown it to you. So now what are the types of masks? Which designer mask should we wear? Should we wear the white one, blue one, green one, the N5 respirator? Now see, the N5 respirator is the ones who the healthcare persons or the persons who are working in the lab, they need to wear. Not you and I. Others can wear the regular surgical mask, but all these surgical masks and all that, remember, there are no points if I'm going to hold the mask like this and go up and down like that. Okay, that means I'm touching my nose and the mouth area. So if I wear a mask, I have to open from here, make sure I don't touch this part, and then discard it off. Again, I should discard it off so nicely that the footpath wala doesn't pick it up again and sell it for 10 rupees at the traffic signal. Okay, so that care has to be taken. So the best thing is you use your own handkerchief. It's safe, it's economical, and it's absolutely hygienic. Okay, so you can use your own hanky. Now the other question is, how long are we going to panic? Are we going to panic for 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years? How long are our schools going to remain closed? How long are our children going to sit at home? There's no answer to this. Most of the epidemics of influenza have lasted for months to years. Whatever we've had in the last 100 years, most of them have lasted for months to years. And I believe this is also not going to be different. We are going to see peaks and rise. So maybe right now it will die down. Then again the weather change, there may suddenly be a peak. Then again it will die down. So we will have this lingering infection going on for months to years until we get a vaccine. So all of us can take a vaccine and be protected. Or we develop immunity. We get the virus, we get symptoms, we recover from it and we develop immunity. So there are two ways. Either we take the vaccine or we develop immunity. Now how long is going to be? It may take some time. So, but we need not worry. It's not that dangerous. When is the vaccine going to come? Now there is already an influenza vaccine that is there. But this influenza vaccine does not work for swine flu. So we cannot take that vaccine. The swine flu vaccine is getting done. US, they are expecting it to come anytime in September. In India, it may take another 3 or 4 months before it comes. And I'm happy that it's going to come a little late because whatever side effects of the vaccine are, we'll see it happening first in US and then UK. Even when I treat HIV patients or any patient, I always tell them I'm very happy that the drugs come much later here because we know all the side effects that are there and we know all the mistakes that they made, so we don't need to make the mistakes here. Okay, so you need not be anxious about the vaccine that it should come as soon as possible. Let it come, let us know the side effects, then we can take the vaccine. Now I'm going to answer some of the common questions that have been asked by patients. Can I go to malls and theatres? Now, right now the epidemic was severe, so the government asked people to stay away from malls and theatres, and in fact they compulsorily closed it, the malls and theatres. Once the epidemic dies down, you can safely go to malls and theatres. There is no problem doing that. Can I go to another country? Yeah, I want to go to US. Can I go to US? Yes, you can go to US because influenza is there everywhere. It's there in India, it's there everywhere. So I'm not going to get it from there and come back here. So you can travel to any other country. When can I send my child to school? Now that will depend on the government guidelines. Whatever the government comes out with recommendations, we have to follow that. We cannot break those guidelines. But you must not send your child if he has fever, because this transmission is basically occurring from school. One child gets fever, they are sitting in one classroom, it spreads, and children are little vulnerable because their immunity is not very well developed. So that's why the virus is spreading. So if your child has fever or flu-like symptoms, don't send the child. Keep the child at home. Isolate him the way I told you to isolate. Once the fever subsides, he can go to school. Can I eat outside? Yes, swine flu does not spread by eating outside food. What happens is, today that Shosawala had swine flu. He touched his nose, he touched his mouth, he touched that plate of his. That plate got the virus. I ate from that plate. My hand got the virus which went into my mouth. Okay, so I can get it from the food, but I may get it this way. And if I don't get swine flu by eating outside, at least I'll get typhoid or hepatitis A or something or the other. Okay, so try and avoid swine flu, eating outside, but remember that swine flu does not spread by eating outside food. So that's the last this thing. One more question that I was asked recently was, can I send my child to a swimming pool for swimming? And yes, you can send your child to a swimming pool for swimming. But again, be cautious. If there is somebody else who's swimming who has got cold or cough, then the transmission can take place. But it will not spread through water. Okay, because there is enough chlorine in the water to disinfect the virus. So it's the same way, it's through the air. So if there is going to be somebody around who is going to have that, then that's the problem. So you can go swimming, you can eat outside, you can stay at home and not give a medical certificate. Any questions? I think there will be a lot of questions from the audience.
Yes, sir, this test which is conducted at Kasturba Hospital, what is the cost attached to that, and how much time it takes for the report to come?
Yeah. See, they do a very specialized test called as a PCR test. Now, these PCR tests usually cost you around 10,000 rupees. And the test takes 24 hours. So, they will be able to give you a report in 24 hours. And PCR is a very specific test. So if every lab started doing it, we will have a lot of false positive swine flu. Means they don't have swine flu, but the report may come positive. Another thing, don't rush to Kasturba thinking that you have swine flu and stand in that line, because out of the 100 patients standing in that line, there may be 10 who would be having swine flu. And even if you don't have swine flu, you will be susceptible to it. Okay, so don't run and panic.
No, there is some advertisement appearing that there are various hospitals in Bombay, including Cooper Hospital or Bhagwati, or these are all, again, we can go there also for...
Yeah, there are, now see, Kasturba cannot handle all the patients. So, Kasturba is where the isolation facility is there. You go to Cooper or you go to Bhagwati, they will check you whether you have swine flu or not. If they feel they have, they take your test and send it to Kasturba for testing. Or from Kasturba you go to Hampton or you go to Pune. So you can go to those centers.
Okay.
And if they feel that you need to go to a higher center, then they'll refer it.
Right.
So you don't need to run with your this thing stick, swab stick, and go to factory. They will send it through.
But why these facilities are available only in government hospitals? Why not private?
Yeah, that we should ask the government why they are doing this.
Yeah, because the government.
See, there are pros and cons. The pros are that we will have quality control over this. So that otherwise what will happen if Tamiflu, they were available in the chemist, somebody would give 100 rupees to the chemist and say, give me Tamiflu. Like you remember the plague outbreak that occurred in Surat, and everybody took tetracycline, and tetracycline went out of the market. Okay, so similarly, such things may happen. Tamiflu may go out of stock. People may misuse Tamiflu. People will start using Tamiflu on their own. Doctors may overprescribe Tamiflu when it's not required.
And I'm not talking about the medicine. I'm just talking about the test conducted. It can
Yeah.
be conducted in a nearby hospital, say,
See, these PCR tests are not available in all hospitals. These PCR tests are there with certain labs. Certain accredited labs do have the facility to conduct the test. The government has to allow those labs to conduct the test. Only thing is, the patient will have to pay. Right now it's done free of cost. So the patient will have to pay if you're going to do it in a private lab, 10,000 rupees. So government is looking into that. I mean, they have not completely said no. Maybe if we have a even higher outbreak, then the government facility is not going to be enough. Then they will have to allow the private sector to take up these tests.
At Kasturba it is free of cost.
It is free of, or right now the test is free of cost everywhere.
Is it true that keeping the vitamin C level high
There is no homeopathic medicine that will bring up your immunity. There is no Ayurvedic medicine that works. There are a lot of people who have come out with onions and
garlic
and lots and lots of things. If that was the case, then I think the swine flu epidemic should have been over a long time back.
What about the equivalent?
Those are symptomatic. I feel nice if my nose is blocked and I take Nilgiri, I feel nice. My nose opens up. So that's the same way it's going to work. Any flu that I take Kara, I take steam, I feel better. That's the same way.
So Ayurvedic or homeopathy or
No.
don't have any,
It's just symptomatic relief that it will give you.
not even yoga.
there was the yoga can cure swine flu.
I have heard yoga can cure AIDS, but there is no proof. I can make a statement today that this cures this. 100 people may follow and say blindly, yeah, this cures this, but there is no proof to it. So just blindly following something doesn't work. And what will happen is people will think, okay, yoga cures. They'll start doing that. It's not bad. Yoga is good. Even I do yoga every morning. But they will take treatment later. They will feel I get better. That's what happens. A lot of patients come who say we took this, we took that. But in the end, they come in such a state that it's too late. So you may try those things. But if you don't feel better, don't think that it's going to take care. If you don't feel better, run.
In this slide we have shown that we have to drink as much as more liquid. What is the logic behind that?
See, when you are having fever, your body temperature goes up. Okay, you lose a lot of water from your skin, and your metabolism also increases. So once your body metabolism increases, you need water.
So in case I don't have any fever, usually we drink. Why should we drink more water? In case we don't have any fever.
If you don't have fever, then you
Yeah.
have to drink water.
In case we have a few, then we have to
Then
drink
you have to
more.
drink extra water. Then you take, otherwise you take regular water.
But for the safer side, in case we drink more water, then more water. On the safer side.
I mean that differs from person to person. Some people feel nice if they drink 1 liter a day. Some people feel nice if they drink at least 4 to 5 liters a day. So that varies from
In
person
case
to
we have a
person.
few, then only
Then you need to
better
go
than-
higher than what your normal intake is.
In media and many doctors have been saying that it is effective to take Tamiflu within 48 hours of being infected. So is that true?
Yeah, that is true. If you take Tamiflu within 48 hours, the severity decreases. That's what I said. If your symptom is going to be for 4 days, 5 days, it will come down to 4 days. But it is most important for a patient who is breathless to take Tamiflu. My advantage if I have got flu and if I have symptoms going to last for 5 days and coming down to 4 days is not that much. In a drug that I don't know the side effects too much. But if I have a severe breathing problem, which may go on to become worse and I may go on to a ventilator or in the ICU, that is the time if I take Tamiflu, then it's really helpful.
If a person is having some bad habit of taking alcohol or smoking or chewing tobacco like that, is there a chances more for get infected for this swine flu?
You may say not infection for swine flu,
Okay.
but maybe the person's immunity may be a little lower and they may have a little more symptoms.
When somebody is severely infected and he is having breathlessness, so does it mean that the things are
Then what the government place will do is they will send you a test. They will not even wait for your test to come positive. They will start you on Tamiflu.
I see.
So there was some death in Pune because of this delay. They had sent for the test,
Yes.
then the patient died by
Yeah.
that.
So they are not given Tamiflu. So now anyone who has these severe symptoms, they send the test. Don't wait for the result. They give them Tamiflu. I think I will end it here. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
On behalf of Annual, I'd like to thank Dr. Ira Shah for taking out special time and coming here and talking to all of us. I'm sure all our questions about swine flu have been answered as of now. And we would like to present you with this small memento from us as a token of appreciation. Thank you so much.